This meeting is called to order. This is Utility Board public meeting for January 19th, 2021. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have a roll call.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
John Foreman.
Present.
Julia Rivera is absent. Ralph Miller.
Present.
Randy Niemeyer.
Present.
Colleen Sheehan. Here. Richard Sharp.
Here.
I am present. Rick Everly.
Here.
David Austin.
Present.
Now we have a quorum established. We'll start with election of Utility Board officers. Utility Board President, are there any nominations?
I'd like to make a nomination for Mr. Richard Sharp.
There's a nomination which would count as a first by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second to that nomination?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheben. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. Is there a motion to approve Richard Sharp as nominated?
So moved.
I'm sorry, the motion was already made. We'll take a roll call vote on that.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Congratulations, Rick.
Thank you, everybody.
Enjoy.
Thank you. We got some stuff accomplished last year. We got a lot more to get accomplished this year, so looking forward to it. Now we have Utility Board Vice President. Do we have any nominations?
Nominate Ralph Miller.
I'll second that nomination.
Randy nominates. Any other nominations? Having none, hearing none, go to the roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan. John Foreman.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
I thought you were going to vote no, Ralph.
Yeah, I was counting just to make sure. Thanks, Ralph. We move on to new business. Approval of the minutes from December 15th, 2020. Motion to accept and waive the reading of those minutes.
So moved.
Motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Colleen. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Written report, Jennifer, fund report.
So your expenditure and cash summaries were previously sent. Since we're still making our way through January, I have not updated those yet. I did send you all an updated billing and revenue summary for December, and we're still holding at about 95% collection.
It still looked okay, right? Don't you think so, Jennifer? Okay, that's fine. That's the way I read it, so, good. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Jen. Move on to the consultant and staff reports. Engineering report from Nice Engineering, Mr. Neil Simstad.
Good evening. Congratulations and my condolences there, Ralph. We have the West Side Sanitary Sewer Interceptor. There's been no update since last month. We're working on property acquisition through Dave's office. It's time consuming to be sure, but we're in place once those are completed. The item 2, West Side Sanitary Sewer Project 2, we are on schedule to deliver that report within the 120 days. The East Side Interceptor, we're proceeding on the rehab. We anticipate bidding in March. We will have a pre-bid with the contractors and then make recommendations to the council in terms of, or the utility board, in terms of recommending award on those projects. The SSES is going forward on the videotaping. The Public Works Department is doing that as they have time. They've had a lot of obligations lately, but they are moving forward and providing updates as they have them to us in terms of the videos on the FTP site. The Utopia Subdivision Water Main Replacement Engineering. Within 2 weeks, Emmy Simpson's prepared to deliver that report to us on a staff level that will allow us to complete our work in terms of preparing the design documents and then move forward with bidding and advertisement consistent with Dave's recommendations for those timeframes. We do have one update. We have an extension for the water loss audit to February 15th, and we're on track with that. Howard in our office working with Sue Hayes and Jen and the staff on that item. Any questions?
What's the water loss?
It's a IURC requirement, another unfunded mandate, but that is something that is required. It was initially set as, I believe, July 1st of 2020, but due to the COVID, they pushed it back until January 1st, but they're offering communities until February 15th to extend to complete that project.
Any other questions? Dave?
When is the next water loss audit due following this one? Isn't it on a biannual basis?
It's either biannual on a staff level or every 5 years for the major loss audit we're doing right now. There are water reports that are delivered to the IURC annually and biannually. I believe this one is a 5-year project, but I can confirm that with Howard and Derek in our office, who's handling several communities, and respond to you tomorrow if that's okay.
Well, whenever.
Sure.
But we probably need to know for calendaring and internally for our water administrators.
Yeah.
To
So
be
we're not
attentive to,
requesting all the data at the last minute. to be
so we're
sure.
not getting a you're late.
Yeah.
Type notice because we picked the wrong deadline. Or
No, we want to maintain consistency with the IURC requirements.
When
Yeah.
is
Who did that report?
I'm sorry, pardon?
Who did the report?
The report, we're working on that with staff, and it's being validated internally in our office. Yeah, it's unfortunately just another one of those unfunded mandates from the state that you gotta, tick off the boxes and meet the requirements.
I had one more question.
Yes,
When are the 120 days up for the phase 2 routing?
I will double check, but I believe it's March 19th. And we're on and above schedule for that right now. We have a little bit of surveying left to do to supplement what we've already completed, but we've already got all the coordination done with the public utilities for NIPSCO, and I met with Dwayne Alverson at the county this morning regarding what we're planning on doing regarding work within their rights of way.
So do you have a draft?
We don't have a draft, but what I intend on doing is taking what we did for the project one and supplementing that and including that new data within there. So we're not reinventing the wheel, spending more time and more money.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just looking at the routing and the path and the parcels we're talking about.
Yeah, we've collected all the parcel data, not only the individual PIN numbers, the deeds, the records from county, but also any and all subdivided parcels in those areas that we do have plats available for. We've got those from the county also.
Do you anticipate more than the 4 parcels we had in phase 1 being required or needing to be acquired?
Potentially, there might be more parcels, but I think there's going to be a benefit to the cost by doing that because we'll be able to stay shallower from a couple routings we're looking at. The good thing is there are the Creston subdivision that we've researched that has a lot of platted rights of way that are unused. So we're able to avoid going after those areas in terms of a taking. But on the north side of 155th, specifically west of Klein Avenue, there are several parcels that we may need to approach, but the intention is to minimize those, but maximize the dollars that we're able to get the best bang for the buck.
We just want to jump on this as best we can,
Absolutely.
given the time it could be anticipated to take.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Neil.
Thanks.
Director of Operations, Tim Kubiak.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just same old thing. We've been trying to keep up. We've been having a lot of trouble with a lot of the local restaurants with grease into the sewers. That's been kind of the camera slowdown, but we've been working on notifying and getting things updated from a lot of these places are doing a lot more frying or something. I don't know what, but we've been having quite a few issues with a lot of grease getting through their grease traps and getting into the sewer. So we've been sending out letters and talking to them and getting that stuff straightened out. That picture I gave you guys, that's the rod for the Havenwood water pump house, re-sided and re-shingled. It had about half the shingles missing and
Looks
all
good.
the
Yeah,
green
yeah.
vinyl siding that was on it. So it's all
I was wondering whose house that was.
I know, I was wondering the same thing, Randy.
Yeah, that's the pump house. We did it, I mean, we did it with smart side, so the balls and stuff don't shatter the siding like what happens on that vinyl siding, so. it should
Very
be
nice.
Yeah, that's very, very
Did you
nice.
sub it
job.
out to someone or did you guys do
Yeah,
it?
something else.
Nice.
Looks good. Thanks, Tim.
Did you have to get permission from HOA at Havenwood for the color? No. All right, just curious. I think it's
If I
great.
would have asked, they
Great
probably would've
choice.
said yes, but we just went with it, so. Then also, we're working on meeting a couple contractors to get lift station 5 over here behind the lighthouse in that direction to get it installed. We have it here. And we're working on getting a game plan to get it installed. So
Very good.
that's all I have for today.
Any questions?
Appreciate the work that's been going on with the little bit of snow we've had. Crews are doing a good job. Pretty solid work this year, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, doing a good job.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Town Attorney, Mr. Austin.
No reports. I gave mine in exec.
Okay, thank you, Dave. JMOB, any report? Do we have anything scheduled, Rick? Are we any conversation with?
I received an email today from Craig Hendricks over there at the town of Lowell. He was trying to set up, we're trying to set up a meeting of that group. He had suggested February 15th, but that's evidently Lowell doesn't observe that as President's Day as a holiday. We do.
I
So
see.
we're looking for an alternate date. It may be as late as March. Unfortunately, they can only do a Monday night because of the work schedule.
Just
for
Monday
their
now,
guys.
huh? Okay,
And they have council meetings on the second and fourth Monday of the month, I believe. So that only leaves the first and third. And we're just having a hard time finding a Monday that works. So we are trying to get that scheduled and let everybody know.
okay.
They're looking for 6 o'clock on a Monday evening. So unless it's critical to be before the end of March, it may be the end of March before we can get that scheduled. I don't know how critical that is. You guys may know whether that's.
I think we just need to get one scheduled. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
They are, he did tell me that they are, Westler is putting together a contract for the work that we all agreed to do over there at the Lowell treatment plant
okay,
a month or two ago. So we'll be seeing that from them pretty shortly.
very good.
Mr. Chairman, as a note here, we still need to get a joint meeting together with the sewer board in Lakedale, Carlia. That's been something that hasn't happened for years. Now that this utility board is established, we need to make that at least a yearly occurrence to make sure that we are within the language of our own contract with
Yeah.
them. So let's
Get
get
back
that on
within
the
the
board.
language, yes.
Rick and
Yeah.
Dave, if you can work together on kind of formulating that first step approach to get what we need to consider on an agenda so we can get this on a regular basis going forward again.
And let's get that contract and circulate it to everybody so
Yeah.
we know what's in it.
Does Lake Dale have lift stations?
Oh, yeah.
Quite a few, I'd imagine.
No, but they have them.
So,
They maintain them themselves?
And they're a customer of our sewer
Right.
utility and we need to have that connection with them.
Yeah, we should, absolutely.
It's actually required by law, so.
yes,
They have like tanks and they have to have people come and pump those tanks out. We just get what's called gray water from,
Gotcha.
That's only part of the system, Bob.
Yeah.
They have a collection system like we do, a small part. So it's a combination type process.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you, Randy. Thank you, Dave. Do we have any public comment? Public comment? Anything, Jennifer, on the,
Nope.
okay. Seeing no public comment, this meeting is now adjourned. Next meeting Tuesday.
Meeting is called to order. This is a town council public meeting for January 19th, 2021. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Remember in your time of silent prayer and reflection at home to pray for this great country. We're participating tonight in self-government. The greatest experiment ever on this planet of self-government is here. And I pray that everyone can find a balancing point as we go forward to make sure that we continue this exercise in freedom and liberty. So please take the time to reflect upon that in your silent prayers at home. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
John Foreman.
Present.
Julia Rivera is absent. Ralph Miller.
Present.
Colleen Scheeben. Here. Richard Sharp.
Here.
Randy Niemeyer.
Present.
I am present. Rick Everly.
Here.
David Austin.
Present.
A quorum has been established. We have public comment on agenda items. Mrs. Dixon.
Mary Joan Dixon, 8711 West 132nd Place. I had my husband sent an email to Rick about the dumpster. So I want to just emphasize that under new business, the trash and recycling service, you always provide us with 2 40-yard dumpsters for Summerfest. I didn't see a contract in there, so I couldn't verify if it was in there or not. So I just wanted to make sure it was included because it's part of our agreement with the town that you provide that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment on agenda items? Public comment on agenda items. Public comment is closed. We have our consent agenda.
Mr. President,
Yes,
may I inquire if the council will consider 4 additional items to this agenda?
I had 3 of them marked, but if you want to go ahead and read them off, go for it.
One would be the town fire agreement with the Hanover Township body. Second would be the Crow proposal for the arbitrage calculations on 2017 RDA bond series 2017 A, B, and C. 3 would be the payment of fees to the IURC as a completion of our petition to the IURC for rate intervention last year. And 4th would be the legal services agreement with Barnes and Thornburg for the legislative services being provided to town.
Thank you. We will add those items at the end of new business just prior to council reports.
Thank you.
Our consent agenda tonight, minutes of the December 15th, 2020 and January 5th, 2021 meetings. Claims, all town funds, $709,438.64. Wastewater operating, $210,986.88. Water utility, $86,895.30. Stormwater, $205,047.27. And payroll for January 7, 2021 is $292,258.24. We have the cancellation of old outstanding warrants, forwarding encumbrances, EMS collections transfer from general fund of $43,213.28, and clubhouse use and fee waiver continuation request from the Rick Larson Wrestling Group and the Cub Scout Pack 129. Is there a motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes and accept the consent agenda as listed?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sharp. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Scheeben. Questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben. Yes. Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Ordinances and resolutions. Item 1 is ordinance 1373. Mr. Sharp, if you would read by its title only, please.
Ordinance number 1373, an ordinance amending town ordinance number 1150, being an ordinance establishing job employment descriptions for the employees of the town of Cedar Lake, repealing all ordinances and town code sections or portions thereof in conflict therewith, including town ordinance number 1274 and all matters related hereto. Amending the job descriptions of recording secretary, town manager, administrative assistant, and building inspector / code enforcement job positions for the town and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Mr. Eberly?
Yes, Mr. President, as Mr. Sharp mentioned, these are amendments to, two of these are amendments to existing job descriptions and very minor changes. The recording secretary position reports to the town manager, not the town administrator, as it was previously. And for whatever reason, we had that person having to be able to move or lift 100 pounds. Didn't feel that was necessary for a recording secretary. So
All right.
We changed that to 25 pounds.
Recording secretary / personal trainer.
There you go.
It's good.
Yeah, so we changed that to 25 pounds. For the town manager, administrative assistant, again, reports to the town manager, not the town administrator. And there was a requirement that position attend meetings as a recording secretary, and because of our staffing plans to add a full-time recording secretary, that will no longer be necessary for the administrative assistant to fill that position. And then finally, the other position, the full-time code enforcement / building code enforcement position is a hybrid, a new hybrid position that the council worked on creating last year. So that's a new job description actually for this year going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Eberly. You've heard the reading of ordinance 1373, as well as an explanation. Is there a motion by the council to approve the first reading?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1373.
Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Sheben. Are there questions or discussion? A little discussion. This has taken quite a bit of work to kind of get to this point, but it's very well known Cedar Lake's growing like crazy, and we're trying to find a way within our departments to make everybody a little more efficient at what they do. The building department has been swamped with work, and having this inspectors / code enforcer gives us the flexibility that we need to not only enforce codes, some building codes, some other town codes, but to pick up some of those simple inspections, lot inspections, and the like. And that way it eases the burden on someone like Tim, who is in charge of our most of our building inspection, and gives us a chance to be a little more efficient with everybody's time. And hopefully we can continue to make some of those small improvements that make us more responsive to the needs of the residents that already live here. Because there's a lot of those building things that sometimes take several weeks that shouldn't take that long. So that's the goal of this, is to make sure that we're investing in things that improve the service to the people of our community. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Is there a motion to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading?
I'd like to make a motion, suspend the rules, allow for a second reading.
Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Second reading of ordinance 1373 by its title only, please, Mr. Sharp.
An ordinance amending town ordinance number 1150, being an ordinance establishing job employment descriptions for the employees of the town of Cedar Lake, repealing all ordinances and town code sections or portions thereof in conflict herewith, including town ordinance number 1274 and all matters related hereto. Amending the job descriptions of recording secretary, town manager, administrative assistant, and building inspector code enforcement job positions for the town and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. That's the second reading of ordinance 1373. Is there a motion to adopt?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 1373.
Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Ordinance is adopted. Before we go any further, I would be remiss if I didn't introduce to everyone newly elected Hanover School Board member Tracy Haskell. She is the liaison for the Hanover School Board to the Cedar Lake Town Council and I believe the Redevelopment Commission, correct? So we'll be seeing a lot of her as we work together on a number of things. So we look forward to working with you, Tracy, and congratulations on your election. And we have faith that it's going to be a very good relationship and everybody will work hard and do their jobs.
Tracy,
Thank you.
Hanover doesn't have anything going on, do they?
Thank you again, Tracy. Item 2 is ordinance 1374, salary ordinance amendment. Mr. Sharp, by its title only, please.
Ordinance number 1374, an ordinance amending town salary ordinance number 1370, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Cedar Lake for the calendar year 2021, and repealing all ordinances or parts thereof in conflict therewith.
Thank you. Mr. Eberly.
Yes, Mr. President, this goes along with the immediately preceding item. We had to establish a salary, a slot in the salary ordinance for the full-time recording secretary. We have a part-time recording secretary in the current salary ordinance, but we need to establish an hourly rate for the full-time recording secretary, and that will be not to exceed $17 an hour. And where it's being paid from, which is 50% general, 25% wastewater, and 25% storm.
Thank you. Is there a motion by the council for salary ordinance amendment, ordinance 1374, to approve the first reading?
I'll make the motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 1374.
Motion by Ms. Sheehan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Is there a motion to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading of ordinance 1374, please.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Miller. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Mr. Sharp, second reading of ordinance 1374 by its title only, please.
Ordinance number 1374, an ordinance amending town salary ordinance number 1370, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Cedar Lake for the calendar year 2021, and repealing all ordinances or parts thereof in conflict therewith.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. You've heard the second reading of ordinance 1374. Is there a motion to adopt?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 1374.
Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Item 3 is ordinance 1375, park impact fees. Mr. Sharp, by its title only, please. I believe we have Tagi Arshami with us tonight. If anyone has any additional questions, we'll turn to Mr. Eberly and Mr. Austin for an explanation. So first reading of ordinance 1375, Mr. Sharp.
Ordinance number 1375, an ordinance reestablishing town-wide 2021 park impact fee for the purpose of planning and financing park and recreation infrastructure to serve new development in the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, amending town ordinance numbers 1138 and 1232 by modifying the park impact fee currently established in conformance with applicable law and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Mr. Austin, would you like to go? Mr. Eberly?
This is an ordinance that has been processed through the requirements of Indiana Code 3674 1300 series. It is to permit the imposition of an impact fee for park and recreation use and development prospectively as a consequence of the continuing growth of this town. The process required a study analysis, which was overseen and directed by Tagi Arshami, our consultant from the Arsh Group, who worked collectively with the Impact Fee Advisory Committee on the technical data and information and directions of the town, et cetera, to ultimately conclude with an approval recommendation of an impact fee study report. That impact fee study report identified a service unit and a preferred cost or an amount of fee per service unit. At the end of the day, the advisory committee recommended, I think it was 85%. 87, close, 87% of the total fee recommended, which is $12.72.
1762.
There you go, $17.62. The Plan Commission considered that, favorably certified that amount and recommendation to you before you as an ordinance that would adopt that rate or any other rate you deem appropriate connected to the study data that was yielded from the impact fee study report. But the recommendation is what you have, and it was unanimously made by each of the committee and the Plan Commission. Adoption of this ordinance would require publication, and upon publication would become effective. There would also be no gap in the current fee that's being collected with the prospective fee, notwithstanding that there's a 6-month gap for the imposition of a new fee.
Mr. President, this is a second renewal of the park impact fee that you first adopted in 2011. It has to be looked at a minimum every 5 years. It can be more frequent than that, but it can't be less often than that. And it is a fee that is attached to a single-family residential, to a residential new construction permit. It's not a fee paid by our residents. It's on new construction, and it is not applied to commercial construction. The maximum fee it could have been, Tagi, was just over $2,000. And as David said, the committee recommended 87% of the maximum fee, which gets us to the $1,762 added to every residential new construction permit. 2015 was the maximum it could have been. Right. Okay.
Thank you for the explanations. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Arshami?
I would just indicate that Cedar Lake in 2016, it was $1,215, and it's going up to $1,762 as mentioned.
Thank you, Mr. Carnahan. Anyone have any questions? Okay, you've heard the reading of ordinance 1375, park impact fees. Is there a motion to approve the first reading?
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of park impact fees, ordinance 1375.
Motion by Ms. Sheben. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Miller. Questions or discussion? Discussion point for me is we need to accompany this, if it is approved, with an aggressive plan to make sure that we are investing these monies in things that improve the lifestyle and recreational opportunities of the people in our community. I don't think we did a great job with that over the last 5 years. These next 5 years need to be completely different. We need to focus on getting projects on a list, putting timelines together and completing them. That's what this is for. This is to help improve the lives of the people in our community, and we shouldn't be collecting any fees if we're not going to invest them in what they're intended for.
I would agree, and it's a hefty fee at that, so I would concur with your comments.
So this council, it's going to be our responsibility to make sure that we direct
Like
our
a new
staff.
fence, right?
Right, direct our staff to formulate a list of projects and follow up on those projects and make sure that we are doing the job that this fee allows us to do.
Mr. President,
John, I don't.
several salient points to that comment. One, there is in fact in process a comprehensive plan update being worked on. There
Yes.
will be a park and recreation element to that, and that will be a companion to a park comprehensive plan. That's one. Two, there is a list, and there are major capital improvements proposed, notably the pedestrian path on Moore Street initially, and other capital projects. They are in design stages, as we are reportedly provided by our consultants. And these are the type of projects that require capital. They're not minor, they're not insignificant in cost, and the amounts that have been collected and will be collected will be absolutely necessary for those type capital improvements. So while it appeared maybe we were sleeping, Dennis Waitley calls it the winter time of projects. When we come out of it here shortly, there will be a lot of activity going on for park and recreation activities. That was discussed extensively with the advisory committee, with this consultant, with Rick and his team. So your team is aware of your feelings on this.
Good. Thank you. We have a motion and second on the table. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Is there a motion to suspend the rules and allow for the second reading?
Motion to suspend the rules, allow for ordinance 1375 park impact fee, second reading.
Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Second reading of ordinance 1375 by its title only, please, Mr. Sharp.
Ordinance number 1375, an ordinance reestablishing town-wide 2021 park impact fee for the purpose of planning and financing park and recreation infrastructure to serve new development in the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, amending town ordinance numbers 1138 and 1232 by modifying the park impact fee currently established in conformance with applicable law and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. Second reading of ordinance 1375. Is there a motion to adopt?
I'll make the motion to adopt.
Motion by
1375.
Motion by Ms. Sheehan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Miller. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Item number 4 is ordinance 1376, annexation, Baltimore CLBD South LLC. Mr. Sharp, by its title only, please, Mr. Austin and Mr. Eberly, explanation.
Ordinance number 1376, an ordinance annexing certain contiguous land to the town of Cedar Lake, Indiana, Lake County, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Mr. Austin.
It's a parcel of property, 28.672 plus minus acres in area in the vicinity of 14520 Wicker Avenue, proposed for annexation to the town. The property is currently zoned, it appears ag, and it's vacant presently. Proposed for development activity. And this is the introductory reading of the ordinance. If
Contiguity standards are met.
it appears so.
Okay.
Being reviewed.
This is voluntary in nature.
It's a voluntary application.
Thank you. Mr. Eberly.
Petitioner lists the address as 14520 Wicker Avenue. The intent is to develop a combination commercial and industrial property there with, I believe, 18 lots, 12 of which are proposed to be industrial. The other 6 fronting Route 41 would be commercial. That's to be determined, of course, but that's the preliminary look-see at the property, Mr. President.
When we say industrial, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have smokestacks and steel mills built in our backyard.
No, So it's like contractors, offices, plumbers, electricians, that type of thing, right?
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion by the council, first reading of ordinance 1376?
I'd like to make a
Annexation.
motion to approve ordinance number 1376, annexation of the Baltimore CLBD South LLC.
Sorry, that's what's called an introductory reading as well, so,
Introductory.
yes.
that address correct?
I don't believe it is. That's what's shown on the application. That's why I said it that way, because the address of the property is actually, that would put the property on the west side of Route 41.
Right,
where
and I believe it's on the east side, and that was some of my confusion early on in this process.
Right,
That's how it's described in the application, however.
right. It has to be corrected in the application. That, the chief is exactly right. That is not the right answer, but it's what's on the application, so. I'm sure Mr. Austin will.
So as a matter of record, could that be corrected post introductory reading?
It can and will be.
Okay,
It needs to be an accurate legal. That's one of the items of verification, inclusive of contiguity.
so this would,
I would like to make my motion contingent upon the proper address.
okay, correction of the record, Mr. Foreman's motion is with a contingency. Is there concurrence to that? Well, there's no second yet, is there? Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheben. So, Mr. Austin, will this item be corrected before the notice of public hearing?
It will,
Okay, that's on the latest at January 25th.
yes.
Okay,
That's when the notice goes to the newspapers. The timetable for this, which we provided you,
yep,
has publication on January 28th, actually.
okay. Thank you. We have a motion and second on the introductory reading of ordinance 1376 with the contingency of the correction of the address. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call vote.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. The clock has started. Item 5 is resolution 1276, temporary loan. Ms. Sandberg,
Resolution number 1276, a resolution authorizing a temporary loan for the 2017 RDA A, B, and C bonds of the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana. Council, this is a recurring item for us in regards to the bond payment. Our settlement is always short before our debt service is due. So this is for a sum total of $180,780.54 to be temporarily loaned from the wastewater treatment plant special fund to the 2017 RDA A, B, and C bond fund. We'll pay it back with the spring settlement in June.
thank you. You've heard resolution 1276 and an explanation by the clerk treasurer. Is there a motion by the council to approve this?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Miller. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. BZA, we have owner Porter Brothers LLC petitioner Tim Porter, 9010 West 133rd Avenue, special use variance. This is a follow-up action. It was referred back to the BZA on 12/15 of 2020. The Board of Zoning Appeals certifies a favorable recommendation to the town council for the requested special use variance to allow the petitioner to operate an indoor-outdoor storage facility for boats, RVs, cars and trucks no larger than 3/4 ton pickups, hours of operation 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. No entry beyond those hours, 119 parking spaces and ambulances to be removed before occupancy, contingent upon Plan Commission approval of a one-lot subdivision and land use approvals with 1 year to complete the projects by a vote of 4 in favor and 0 against at a BZA meeting held on January 14th, 2021. Mr. Carnahan?
I'm going to lift up what I said at the BZA meeting, and I said here before, they have 4 customer parking spaces out there outside of the fence, right next to a shelter for kids that catch a bus there, and parents usually line up with their vehicles, and the school bus pulls right to the side, and that is now gonna be occupied by customer parking, which I am concerned about the kids. Where are they gonna go to catch your bus?
Whose land is it, Bob?
It's theirs.
So if you've been by that Econo self-storage, there's really, I don't think I've ever seen a time where there's been more than 2 customers parked in a parking lot. Because it's a self-storage business. It's not one of those high traffic things like a grocery store or retail. So it's, I don't know if it's going to be overpopulated with cars. Mr. Kubiak?
We've already had some discussions with them, and the discussion has been to move that fence to the back of the building and go across to the other building, creating a little parking area, pull through that traffic congestion and get actually onto, in front of the building, you know, so that way that people would have to stop in that traffic pattern to go up the hill to open a gate.
That's something that would just go through the building department
Right, they're working
administratively.
on, that's already a consideration to try to
Okay.
alleviate Mr. Carnahan's issue, so I think that through the plan commission and the. it'll get
Yeah, they
resolved.
seem like very easy people to work with from conversations with them, so.
I'm glad to hear that.
The idea would take care of Bob's concern.
Good.
100%.
Is there a motion by the council on this BZA item consideration for Tim Porter, 9010 West 133rd Avenue Special Use Variance?
So moved,
Motion by Mr. Carnahan, that's to approve.
yes.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Austin?
Bob, can your motion include based upon the conditions certified by the BZA to the council?
Yes, with the conditions certified by the BZA.
Ms. Sheehan, you concur?
I concur.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Thank you to the Porter family for being cooperative and collaborative. There were some questions and they've answered them, so great
Yeah,
job to
and
them.
Mr. President, initially I thought, this is not a good use of the property, but unfortunately it's zoned M1. So therefore, I think with it being zoned M1, that's just a sign of the times of how maybe we wish that it was residential as opposed to M1, but.
I think they're going to do a good job, though.
They'll do a good job.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Plan letter of credit, Beacon Point East. Mr. Austin,
I think this belongs to the building department.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Mr.
I'll
Everly?
take that, Mr. President. This was actually approved by the Plan Commission back at their November meeting. And we had, David had a chance to review it and he approved it, but he wanted Burke's, the engineer's, letter of approval attached to the letter of credit as well as the schedule of values. And in getting that, we realized that we then overlooked putting it on one of your agendas for your approval, your acceptance of a letter of credit. So this is correcting that error. This is bringing it to you for your acceptance after having gotten the Plan Commission's approval of the letter of credit. So this was a letter of credit that was reduced to $341,736.80. And it's before you for your acceptance now. It actually should have been before you in December.
Thank you, Mr. Everly. Is there a motion by the council to approve the letter of credit as submitted by Beacon Point East and presented by the town manager?
So moved.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Foreman, a second by Mr. Carnahan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. New business. Item 1 is trash recycling services agreement. Mr. Everly.
The reason that's on here, Mr. President, is to make sure that the council does want to go out for bids for the trash and recycling services agreement and just to get your blessing to do so.
So when Jill Murr was our town administrator, she and I met with Doug Rosenbaum with Republic Services as a precursor to this, because I think it's April,
June.
June?
Yeah.
Okay. We want to really have a bid if we're gonna have bidders in by, I would say, April. That way there's preparation for whatever company we choose. They need to get totes or whatever, or if it's Republic and there's different parts of the contract, it might be good to do that. But one of the things that we need to do in developing a bid spec is do something that's kind of apples to apples. Certain providers of services have greater resources than others. One of the things that Mr. Rosenbaum shared, quite willingly was that, his competitors and them, they are all looking at this every other week recycling. Reason being is because there's so much that comes in recycling, they've got no place to take it. China used to be the largest customer of recyclable goods. They have warehouses full of it in cities across China that have been processed. So there's a lot of actual recycling material sitting on ships in docks in the China Sea that have been there for years. So there's a backlog of recycled products, which is creating a necessity from a service standpoint to extend that period that people have to collect it at their own residence. Now, that would also include probably the addition of either an additional tote or just larger totes. They talked about putting totes out that were the same size as the garbage totes. So we need to be careful in developing a bid spec so it's one that can be bid on by multiple providers. And I think that every other week recycling is one of those items that we're gonna, while some people might be upset by it, it's something that from an industry standpoint, you almost really have to consider if you're gonna be competitive, because the price is higher for every week recycling than it is for every other week. So we need to be fair with whoever bids on it to have a spec that can be properly bid on and met by any providers.
And I think that's what we as staff are looking for, Mr. President, is some direction from the council as to what, absent that directive, we would have said we want to bid for every week and every other week recycling so that we can compare those. And then every week garbage pickup. But if the directive is to go with every other week recycling and every week garbage pickup, then we know what to seek as a staff, so.
Yeah, I'm okay with either, as long as we include that every other week in it as an option, because I have a feeling that it's going to get to a point where it's a requirement by the service providers where they just won't pick it up every week.
Right, and every other week helps save our roads too, from
Yeah.
those heavy trucks being on them every week. The garbage truck's gonna be on them every week, but the recycling trucks, if we can limit them to every other week, we can help take some pressure off our roads.
Yeah, Mr. Rosenbaum also indicated that, currently, where's our contract at, how much per month?
$14.28.
We're looking at probably anywhere between a $4 and $5 a month increase on that. Their original, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when John and I met with them, they were looking in the $25 to $28 range, which has drastically changed. So I don't know what changed all of that, but
Gas prices.
We just approved their monthly claim of almost $74,000. That's a lot of money.
it is. So
I think it's to our advantage to speed this up
does the
sooner
council have,
rather than later, because I have a feeling the carbon footprint's going to start.
so the,
We've got another company that's interested in bidding, so I want to go out and present bid packages
Sure.
to everybody that's interested in providing service.
So that's why I'm glad we're talking about it now.
so we'll set out a set of bid specs with weekly garbage collection and either weekly or every other week recycling collection. Is that a
But
acceptable
I
bid
think
spec?
it's acceptable. However, if it's every other week, we need a larger bin than we have.
Larger totes
Because our
included?
small tote today does not adequately
They need to be
last
96,
for 2 weeks.
the 96-gallon tote.
Correct.
You're gonna want.
Right, if it goes to every other week.
Right.
Different color lid or something.
So with that discussion, can we make that in the form of a motion so we can direct the staff to put together that bid specification?
Or you could just direct them as the president, I think.
I'll
Well,
make that
it's on,
motion.
it's on the agenda, so I want to
Oh, that's
go
true.
through the process. Motion by Mr. Carnahan, is there a second?
second.
Second by Ms. Sheben. And just for clarification, that is every week garbage collection, every week or every other week recycling collection. If it's every other week recycling, it would include the upgrade to a 96-gallon tote.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes?
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0.
I got one question. We make sure that we keep our current amount of dumpsters that we have in our contract.
Right, so Mrs. Dixon also made a note in the public comment about the 40-yard dumpsters that are provided for Summerfest. So let's include that as well as part of what we do, and also what Tim's comment was on the,
I think there's like 110. We have to look at the current contract, but we have those for our cleanup and our, our town.
right.
Town council people bring their stuff and dump, so.
Right.
Just like to make sure that whatever new contract we have includes that same. It's been pretty good so far, the number that we have, so make sure that that's included in that.
Right. Mrs. Dixon was asking.
That's a pretty big, I think it's like 110 20-yard dumpsters or something, so it's quite a large.
Mrs. Dixon was asking that we provide one of those, two of those dumpsters for that use.
And we normally use those, take those out of our current.
Out of 110, whatever it is, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So that's good that we-
Item 2 is financial general services agreement with OW Crone. This was an item that I asked for some direction on at the last council meeting to solicit a general service agreement from OW Crone and Associates for financial advisory services. They were kind to provide us with that agreement. Let me find my page here.
Page 44, Mr. President.
And I believe Jen can probably best analyze the relationship thus far with OW Crone. So Ms. Sandberg, could you offer us a little insight?
I mean, the budget process, it went very smooth with working with Corby. We went back and forth when I had questions, when he needed stuff. I mean, we were quick to respond to one another. Again, as we move forward with the sustainability plan, I mean, it's good working relationship.
And Buzz Crone sent me a personal note that Corby has taken personal ownership of the relationship with Cedar Lake. He's driving the work product on that, and Buzz was very excited about how enthusiastic Corby is about working with our team as well. So they had very good remarks about everyone on our team, and they obviously hope that we approve this and we can move this relationship forward. Is there a motion by the council to approve the financial services agreement as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sharp. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carnahan. So for transparency's sake, the hourly rates in this are partners, $255 an hour, municipal advisors and CPAs, $220, senior consultants and project managers, $200, staff accountants and consultants, $155, and support personnel, $95 an hour. And then on the back, they have fees for different project-related services, including continual disclosures, $3,000 to $6,000, annual State Board of Account filings, $3,000 to $6,000, annual DLGF budget filings, $5,000 to $10,000, annual DLGF TIF filings, $3,000 to $6,000, special purpose reports, utility or town funds, $3,000 to $6,000, annual accounting reports per utility, $3,000 to $5,000, and feasibility calculations, utility or town funds, $2,000 to $5,000. So pretty fair schedule of fees for municipal services.
Yeah, I don't recall the other firm doing that with these standard services and flat rates. It was kind of
And
interesting to read that.
Crohn's top rates are 50 and 60% of some of their competitors in the industry. So
That's good.
they charge a fair rate. They have talented people that care about what they're doing. They're a smaller firm and a really good fit so far for our community.
Right.
We have a motion second on the table. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Item 3 is 2020 Indiana Medicaid EMS Supplemental Payment Cost Report Engagement Letter. Mr. Eberly?
As I understand this, Mr. President, this is something we enter into on an annual basis. I know this company did the review for us this past year, Ms. Sandberg, and we got a pretty decent refund, did we not, through their analysis? Do you recall that?
I don't remember off the top of my head what it was.
16,000. Does that sound like that? Yeah. So it's proven worthwhile. The fee for this is either $4,000 or a 25% contingency with a ceiling of $10,000. Obviously, I would think we want to go the fee route, max it at $4,000, but $4,000 spent to get $16,000 back was pretty fair.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there a motion by the council to approve the Indiana Medicaid EMS Supplemental Payment Cost Engagement with Rooney and Company?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Scheven. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Item 4 is Moto on Ice Agreement. Mr. Everly, Mr. Austin.
Mr. Austin was good enough to put this agreement together for us, so I'll let him comment on that. We did have the gentleman, John Lewis, I believe is his name, came in and signed the agreement on behalf of Moto on Ice. They provided us with a certificate of insurance, actually exceeding, Mr. Austin, the amounts that you recommended as minimum. They do not have any employees, Dave, so they don't have workers' comp insurance, and they do not have any automobiles that they own themselves. So they didn't provide information on that, but other than that, they met or exceeded the amounts that you requested.
Yeah, this contract memorializes the relationship of the town with the producer of the event. It's very similar in form and content to the Summerfest agreement. The insurance checkoff is important. That was important to me in my drafting, and it sounds like that occurred and took place. And we're fully indemnified as a town from any acts of the producer or resultant from the event occurring. We have insurance, of course, and we're exempt, but that's the deal.
We did also.
We didn't have such, I thought we had, and Rick and I exchanged some communications and dialogue on this. I thought we'd had an agreement in the past, and apparently we didn't.
No. But we also ran it, at your suggestion, we ran it by Bob Bryant
Right.
at the Henriette Group, and it got his blessing as well.
We didn't have an agreement with them. We had a
But had-
EMS.
Yeah, it had to do with
Agreement.
Todd and
The reason that we have an agreement now is because they'll be
They're on our
using
property.
our property as a point of entry.
Correct.
Have they started, Jen?
No.
Is the ice thick enough? Are they
No,
going?
No.
There's
The
no ice.
water is
There's water
going
out
down
there.
in the middle.
You can swim out there, John.
No, I didn't. I haven't been, okay.
If you're a member of the Polar Bear Club, you can do that.
Well, it's kind of looking promising that there
Yeah,
may
that's
be
right.
some ice this year. So
It's a rough year.
Yeah,
last
It's a rough
winter, I
year.
don't think we had
It's not gonna happen this year.
hardly
I think we
any.
got out.
It's still cold.
I hope it does, but I don't know.
So Moto on Ice Agreement, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve the Moto on Ice agreement.
I would second Colleen's motion.
Motion by Ms. Scheven, second by Mr. Foreman. Questions or discussion? Josh? Everything all set?
Yes, we're hoping so.
Good.
Tomorrow we're gonna go out and do some measurements and stuff, but on average right now, it's about 5.5 to 6.5, unconfirmed.
What does it have to be for a race?
It averages probably 6 to 8 right through there, so.
Okay.
You know, it depends.
Yeah.
on the big trucks and stuff out there.
Well, you guys have done a great job in the past, and we expect that you'll do an awesome job again. So look forward to it.
We're hoping so. Can't do it without everybody else's help either. So,
Well, thank you guys for being very cooperative and working with our team.
yeah, thanks for working with us.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Neiman.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Item 5 is a right of entry agreement. This is 9208 West 142nd Place. Mr. Eberly?
This is a temporary construction agreement, Mr. President, that we need in order to complete a stormwater improvement project on this parcel. Jill Murr and Don Oliphant met with the property owners last Thursday evening, and they report to me, Don reported to me today that the property owners were satisfied with the agreement, willing to enter into it, and just waiting for town council approval of this agreement. By the way, the project is estimated at $17,700, and then when you add in the contingency, it would be $19,500. But Mr. Oliphant informed me today that he does not expect it to reach that kind of expense when all is said and done.
And I believe we had a policy discussion in the meeting too about these sorts of projects where it's not 100% public. Like, this infrastructure improvement has some neighborhood benefit, but it's not an exclusive neighborhood benefit project. There is some private property considerations to this. And I know that was discussed. I don't think it was ever acted on. And if I remember right.
I thought Don was putting together some kind of, this is step one of a ongoing process.
It was going to be a
for these types of
cost sharing
circumstances.
type policy on
Right.
these sorts of things as a way to make sure that we're not doing private projects as a
Right.
town, but that we're properly evaluating where some town actions or inactions may have caused an adversity on a property or caused part of an adversity, and then
Right.
therefore there would be some ownership by the private property owner as well.
Some of these type problems though are like sausage. You can't separate them. So it either gets resolved or it doesn't. And that's what these type documents and agreements and undertakings are about. You had here in the fall, 4, 5, 6 of those
Yeah.
specifically that just needed to have attention.
Yeah, it's not the first time and not going to be the last time we see it,
No, it's not
especially
going to
with
be.
as more new subdivisions are built, there's adversities that are created on certain older neighborhoods. So there needs to be a mechanism and a policy in place that helps us to be able to just do these projects and not over debate them.
Or not so sold subdivisions. Some of these
True.
have been used in
Right.
some of the not sold.
But where we see a good bit of the impact is where the new and old meet.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it could be houses versus subdivisions. It
Yes.
doesn't matter.
Right, it's new standards to old standards. Some of the old standards.
No, it's
didn't
new
exist.
standards to no standards.
Correct.
Most of the houses that we're talking about being affected are prior to the
Rick,
town being a
is that
town.
policy being vetted right now by the Stormwater Board?
It is, not with a lot of specificity, but where this one is concerned, particularly, Mr. President, you're absolutely right, because this is a temporary easement to allow us to do the work.
Right.
The property owner takes the responsibility of maintaining what it is that we're putting in the way of the improvement. They have to maintain it in perpetuity. So it is basically a public-private agreement.
Okay,
And the property owner does have some skin in the game
very good.
where that's concerned.
We also, with the storm board, at the last meeting, there's like 680 feet of pipe on the west side of Lynn's Way that needs to be replaced. It is creating sinkholes because the type of pipe that was used there, and it's no longer used. And that's a huge project. I talked to Randy about this the other night, and Jill also suggested that we finance the project because we don't have enough money in the fund to cover it.
So,
It's kind of a different subject though, right?
That's 100% public infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's in the right of way.
right, but I mean, as far as from the financial standpoint, it's going to be a pretty expensive project to do that. But the funny thing about this is my first year on the council, we talked about this. I got calls from my constituents in Lindsway and went out and visited them to sinkholes in their backyard. So this is how long some of these things drag on, unfortunately. And I'm glad that we're taking the approach of solving problems rather than kicking them down the road. So
And the
What-
storm board wants to do this.
good. I'm happy to hear it. Thank you, Bob. Is there a motion by the council on the right of entry agreement, 9208 West 142nd Place? Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Miller,
Second.
second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Austin?
there is the need to complete the blank for term and termination in this document. I presume it's a 1-year term, but we did not know what it's agreed upon when I drafted.
Is 1 year an ample enough amount of time to get this completed and to turn this over completely? Okay.
You guys want to modify your motion to within 1 year?
If that's what it needs, yes.
Concurrence?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? We'll call vote.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Jake, Dana, thank you. Appreciate you working with us, and sorry it took a little while, but we're learning as we go too with some of this stuff. Yep, thank you. Now we have come to our other new business items. We will start with the fire contract. Mr. Austin?
The contract that you approved was sent to Mr. Toth and his board and was returned to me, signed, executed, and approved at a public meeting by Mr. Toth and his board.
Okay,
I recommend that you take formal action to countersign and approve that contract.
thank you. Is there a motion by the council to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan, second.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Toth and your board. Thanks to council. We've been partners a long, long time, so hope to keep it up. Next will be the Barnes and Thornburg Service Agreement. Mr. Austin,
I thought number 2 was Crow, separate arbitrage.
it doesn't matter.
All right, fair enough.
Which one do you want?
Barnes and Thornburg.
This is.
I wrote them down in the order he mentioned. All good.
John's first time you and I have been so close. I can't even remember last.
I know.
See, I had it written on a page previous, so in order for me to not forget with my small brain,
Gotcha.
I had to go with that first page first and check that one off.
Item 2 is now 4.
This is a
Vice
legislative
versa.
services agreement with Barnes and Thornburg related to the activities in the General Assembly this year, and particularly related to permits and liquor license and evaluation of same for prospective development here in Cedar Lake. It's
And it's in
5,000.
the amount of $5,000.
Thank you, Bob.
And
5,000
that-
one.
That's the same price that the Lake County Solid Waste uses, the same company.
It's 5,000 per month
During the
up to
session.
the session.
For 4 months.
In this case, it's a long session this year.
Okay, is there a motion by the council to engage in the Barnes and Thornburg Services Agreement as presented?
I'd like to make a motion to approve this Barnes and Thornburg legislative agreement to go after these future liquor licenses.
Motion by Mr. Foreman,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0.
And quite honestly, just for the folks that are here, this is kind of a new initiative that the state's allowed. In some of the cities like Valparaiso, I think, and Crown Point perhaps have gone after these, incorporating them into historical districts and or new types of areas to enable businesses to have the ability to sell liquor without the full-blown license
And
at a
another-
reduced rate.
Another thing, if you get more businesses in town, they pay 3% of the property
Right.
tax, and that reduces the amount that the residents pay of 1%.
This helps with economic development quite nicely, so hopefully we can work something out over the next couple of years.
And those types of liquor licenses are not transferable.
Correct.
So they're not like your traditional liquor license where it's essentially someone owns it individually. This would not be individually owned.
Correct.
So if a business dissolves, those things would have to be applied for again.
Does the liquor license then go with the property, with that piece of property?
No,
It's with the district, basically with the,
if the property or usage changes, the liquor license needs to be reapplied for. It's a special liquor license. It's not a traditional where a restaurant owner can sell their restaurant with a three-way liquor license and add another $500,000 to the cost of their restaurant because they have a liquor license. This liquor license wouldn't belong to the individual proprietor of the business. It would belong to the district and to the community. Okay, we had a motion and second, right? And we passed it, okay. I'm just trying to get my brain's not working right
There you
here. This stuff. Next, we have, I'll go to the Crow agreement for arbitrage of the RDA bonds that were refinanced. Mr. Austin?
As Crow is your financial advisor for capital financing, it was recommended that they be considered to be retained to undertake the arbitrage calculation work related to the 2017 A, B, and C bonds. Arbitrage is it's not favored in the tax law in that we're not supposed to, as a public body, raise funds, not use those funds, retain them in an account, make money off of them. There's a calculation then for a tax component if that occurs. What happened in this instance was we did the project efficiently. And in fact, the project came in and closed at less than the amount raised, even based upon engineer's estimate of those probable costs. So it wasn't like we did something wrong. We actually got great benefit for the taxpayers on the project. I think this one was the Parish Avenue project specifically. And it came in under financing. So this has to be done. It's a mandatory item and needs to be cleaned so that all our future activities are viewed appropriately.
And I remember on the Parish Avenue project, we also reduced our amount that we used of the community crossings grant because the project came in so far under the engineer's estimate of probable costs.
We had nothing else ready and nowhere else to go in the vicinity to spend funds within the umbrella, if you will, of the financing. So
Right.
here we are.
Okay, is there a motion by the council to approve the agreement with Crow for arbitrage calculation?
Mr. President,
so moved,
not to exceed $7,200.
Thank you. Not to exceed 7,200.
so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes,
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Neiman.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Last item is we have to pay the IURC for the privilege of coming before them on our water rate case. Mr. Austin?
The Trail of Tears continues. The IURC rendered its ruling here recently on our water rate petition to that body last year. When they got to the last page, the last line, they said we need to pay the amount of $21,623.24 for the privilege of doing so. It was the cost and the expense incurred by the commission and the OUCC for the process.
And it's not like we can refuse this.
It's an order, actually, but
Yeah.
it requires your approval. Okay.
Okay, is there a motion by the council to approve the payment to the IURC of the amount of?
$21,623.24.
Thank you.
Bob, did you get that?
Yes.
earlier you said 64, just the,
I did.
The price is dropping as we speak.
that's right, we just saved 50 cents.
Bureaucracy is cheap.
I did.
Is there a motion by the council to approve this payment?
I'll make the motion to approve the payment to the IURC.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Sheben, second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion?
This money would come out of the water.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, if we weren't a member of the Indiana Regulatory Commission, we wouldn't be paying this money.
Yeah, and a couple, not quite a couple weeks from now, but on the 28th, we're going to have a public forum for our water customers to talk about the water rate changes. But we're also going to present the amount of money that we had to spend in order to get to the point that we're at, that like Bob mentioned, that if we weren't a member, we could have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so we'll be prepared to present all of the things that went into these water rate changes, what it means to the customer, as well as the costs involved in making these changes and what it will mean to the future of our infrastructure. So thank you for those comments, Bob.
And that meeting's on January 28th, at what time?
I believe 6 p.m. right here in the town hall. So we have a little over 2,000 water customers, and I believe they're going to be noticed, or they have been noticed of this meeting, Mr. Eberly?
We have it on our social media sites, our website, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and second, or do we?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not on the agenda. I have a hard time following along.
What is it?
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Now we move to town council reports.
I'm looking forward to seeing 129th get rehabbed over there from Parish to 41.
Thank you, Bob. I'm looking forward to Fairbanks being redone myself.
I am too, but that 129th is probably.
I'm going to keep mentioning it for you, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council reports? I have one. We're going to be going into the comprehensive master plan update in earnest. And I know part of our previous comp plans have included some talk of different amenities that the town may need. Mrs. Dixon and I have actually talked about this several times. And it's a very thoughtful recommendation that every community is made up of demographics of all different income backgrounds and all different needs. And one of the things that we don't have in our community currently is a laundromat. And it's actually something that's an amenity that's extremely needed by people, many especially of lower income. I don't know if it is a water utility and wastewater issue that's prohibitive from a cost standpoint for those businesses to exist. But I would really like to dive into this to make sure that our community provides businesses that can be used by people from all different income demographics as needed to.
But Randy, we don't
provide for-
regulate the types of businesses. I mean, if we have 20 pizza parlors, we have them.
We don't.
It's up to an
we don't.
individual to create.
But
this.
if we have cost structures that are prohibitive to those types of businesses to develop,
Sure.
it creates a disadvantage for people that might be on a fixed income, that they
Sure.
may have to travel to Lowell or Crown Point or somewhere way out of their town to have a basic service and a basic need filled of clean clothing and clean wares for their home. So that's what I'm saying. It's not about us regulating business.
Right.
It's about us creating a platform that's conducive to that type of business development.
I see.
Maybe check with Don Guard and see why he left the business here in Cedar Lake, if there were water rates that were too high or stormwater.
I'm sure that most business people in that would say that wastewater and water rates are too high, even if they were a penny.
Okay.
You didn't pay any water. Too.
Yeah, because he was on a well over there. So, I mean, these are
Yeah.
things that I think we need to look at from an amenity standpoint, is not just always the big flashy stuff, but those common sense daily use things like a laundromat that folks that might be on fixed
I have a
incomes or lower
customer that
income.
makes laundry machines for laundromats, institutions, prisons, universities, et cetera, hospitals. And my limited knowledge of this industry is the price for these washers and dryers have become a commodity, and so many people have them now in their homes that it's made a void in a lot of areas for people to be able to run a profitable laundromat.
Well, and also car washes fall into that category too, when you have high water usage, high wastewater.
Sure.
Whenever you have something like that. So those sorts of businesses though, help a community become kind of a whole community.
Sure.
And it's worth looking at that as part of our approach to planning, is making sure that we're providing a broad scope of opportunity here in Cedar Lake for development and growth, and not just kind of narrow focused on maybe one or two industries.
Yeah, anyone can open up any kind of business they want, anywhere.
They can, but
That's
sometimes
the way life
government
is.
can also be prohibitive to those things taking place, and we need to
What we need to be
analyze.
prohibitive towards are these currency exchanges that rip people off that you can't truly afford to be ripped off. There's a lot of communities that have these organizations take advantage of their people. So if there's a legal way to address that, I think that's certainly a good one for us to address.
I think a lot of those are regulated by the financial regulations passed down through Indiana Administrative Code,
State and federal usury
Yeah.
laws.
SEC and
govern
state.
And we are not able to preempt those
No.
regulations.
Yeah,
But
those
you're
are-
right, there's a lot of predatory
Yeah.
activity and those sorts of
Bad
things.
stuff.
All right, that's my comments. Any other council reports? Town attorney?
None.
Clerk treasurer?
Just working on a lot of annual reports.
Town manager?
Not at this time, Mr. President.
Director of operations?
No, I have nothing.
Police department?
Council, you got our December calls for service, 677 total calls for the month. We issued, and we also got a copy of our end of the year report, 12,521 calls for service in total. We issued 1,517 citations and almost 2,100 written warnings for the year. I think a pretty decent 2020. Joe, 2020 was pretty rough on us. Overtime was pretty hard, but we did get to hire 3 new officers. And you know, we did lose a veteran officer, so that was difficult on us. Our Lexipol has been started and is in its full process now. Lieutenant Purcell is working on the police side. We also have Chief Wilkenning and I have invited one member from the Board of Safety to be on the team to recommend the policies to help further it along a little bit faster. So if they have those questions, they can bring it right to that team that's going over the policy before it even gets to the board, so that it's answered a little bit faster. They are currently have our policy manual, and it's going to be about 3 weeks for them to go through it line by line. So we're pretty excited about that. Their original projected date was to have it completed by the end of July. But I told them they need to move that up because Lieutenant Purcell is retiring. So he'll be done by the 1st of June. His official date is June 30th, but he's got vacation time. So
How many years has he?
36, I believe it is.
Wow.
So,
That's
and I
awesome.
also received a letter from my administrative assistant. She's officially retiring May 12th, 35 years.
Wow. Very cool.
Yep. So we're praying to good Lord that 2021 is a much better year for our community, our police department, and our country. We'll see. I think there's going to be some mass reform issues going on with the new demographics that are in the White House and the Senate. But we'll see. We'll be optimistic. We know we go through these changes from time to time, and we adapt and overcome. So we'll see how it goes.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Wilkening?
The fire department's year-end report is just about done. I was able to complete the township one. I sent a copy to the township trustee. We usually get done a little quicker. So you should have it in your packet by the next meeting, if not before then. I have 3 promotions I'd like to do. Or I already got approval from the commission on, and I would like the board of commission, I should say, or the safety commission. So the next regular meeting, I'll have those names for you, and we'll do a formal presentation at the council.
Thank you. Great communication we have from the Hanover School Corporation introducing Tracy Haskell as liaison. So again, we welcome Tracy, and our team is here to help with any questions you might have. And I would, if you have anything that you think needs to be discussed at council meetings, feel free to reach out and we'll get it on an agenda and have those items ready. Building Department report, Mr. Eberly.
279 new residential permits issued for the year, with one commercial, 7 million plus in construction, estimated construction value of those new permits. Several items, 6 out of 12 months, we established new 10-year records for permits in those months. So it was a blockbuster year, despite the fact that at the hardships that Chief Fisher noted. We're a place that everybody wants to be, so we're adjusting to that.
Christopher Burke report.
You have that in your package, Mr. President.
Thank you. Public comment, open public comment. Is there any public comment? Third and final call for public comment. Public comments closed. I have one more little statement. As tomorrow comes and we go into the inauguration of a new president, and we transfer governance to a new administration, I hope that it's peaceful.
Amen.
And some of the rhetoric that has been spewed forth over this entire year settles down. The people who attacked our Capitol should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, as well as all the people who attacked government buildings and government property throughout the summer. And I hope that the continuing attack on freedom of speech and our Bill of Rights discontinues. All opinions need to be welcome in a free society, whether we like them or not. Everybody's voice matters and should be heard. So I hope that as we go through this and things settle down, that we see kind of a leveling of everything, and we can all work together and figure out how we can best serve each other and make sure that this great constitutional republic that we live in continues for many generations to come. So we'll look forward to the next chapters here in Cedar Lake, but also look forward to opportunities in this country to grow. So thank you, everyone. Our next council public meeting will be Tuesday, February 2nd, 2020 at 7 p.m. This meeting's adjourned.